It's the final word daily alongside New Brew for improved brain performance. And I'm Daniel Norcross. Alongside me is Ben Jones. We're here to rule the roost. No, rule the thumb. Take the thumb over. I don't know what you do. What you do with these things? You look back on the second day. Because it is the second day, and that's the day we're looking back on. And as usual, in these moments, I ask Ben Jones to describe what has happened in a pulsating day, genuinely pulsating day's cricket in 30 seconds. Ben.
India come out this morning and they scrap. Ravindra Jadeja falls early to a lovely bit of Jofra Archer bowling, but Washington Sundar and Shardul Thakur put up some resistance and drag India to 358. Joined not the least by Rishabh Pant, who we knew was basically dead and buried, but came out with a broken metatarsal and batted for 27 balls to add 17 runs and plenty of lucre and lushness to his legacy, because it was very good Graham Smith areas. But then all of that positivity rather bled away as Duckett and Crawley smoked it to all parts of Old Trafford. India bowled terribly. Opening partnership 166. England close on 225 for 2. Neither of the openers make their century, but England are very much in control.
Well, they definitely are. Somewhat disappointingly for fans of 2-2 going into the Oval, but there's still time for India to come back. But first and foremost, we've got to touch on the story of the day, and the story of the day is Rishabh Pant. And for many reasons he was a story of the day, because we began today being told, mostly by ex-players, that there was no way that Rishabh Pant was going to bat again. Absolutely no way. You couldn't do it with that. Then we got a statement that said that Rishabh Pant would bat if necessary for his team, which I took to mean that he's going to bat, right?
Yeah, because, when's it not necessary?
Well, exactly. When is it not necessary to have a batter? Because you don't want to be like one wicket further down and then start the next inning basically 0 for 1. But everybody else said, no, that means he's not going to bat. And sure enough, the fall of the first wicket pretty much, or was the fall of the second wicket to fall today? Fall of the second wicket to fall today. Out he walked. Did I say walked? Hobbled, dragged himself. They could have put in a Stanner stair lift. I think that would have been helpful for him. Or other stair lifts, they are available.
And, do you want the BBC? No, it's fine.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, what's wrong with Stanner? Let's have a Stanner stair lift. It's come and get me, play. I'd be great on your advert. For all sorts of reasons, actually. But anyway, Rishabh Pant made his way out to the middle. And then we got sort of semi-ridiculous cricket, because he was out there with Washington and Sundar, and the idea, it seemed to me, was for them to bat as long as possible. It wasn't Rishabh Pant thrashing it, was it? And it wasn't Washington Sundar thrashing it. It was basically both of them accumulating, taking time out of the game, hopefully wearing the pitch down, this, that and the other. Fields were set a little deeper because Rishabh could not run properly, so it had to be a very long single to get there. But look, had he not done that, India could have fallen in a heap for 320, because the ball was zipping around, it was doing stuff, baby. Jofra Archer had the ball in a string, it was flying around, just zipping past the outside edge. Ben Stokes was being unbelievably good again, and you kind of thought, actually, what Rishabh Pant did there was a couple of things. 40 runs, and also to say, yeah, so Shoaib Bashir is really brave, because he came out to field in the boundary with a broken little finger. Well, I've come out to bat with a broken foot. So how do you like them brave apples? And it was fabulous. When he got to his 50, the crowd went berserk. When he got out, it was genuinely, I'm not a misty-eyed man as a general rule, bit of a cynic, but I was touched by the way the crowd, as one, rose to acknowledge a genuine feat of bravery, not a Colin Cowdrey feat of bravery, wandering out to watch 2 balls at the non-strikers end with a broken arm. No, actually batting, while Jofra Archer and Ben Stokes were trying to hit him on the foot.
I mean, Cowdrey taking unnecessary strays there, I'd say. I think there's been a lot of hyperbole already. We're but hours after the innings. There's been a lot of people talking about it as an exceptional innings. It was brave. It wasn't necessarily particularly impactful. He batted for 40 minutes, and it did mean that India limped along to a slightly higher total. It's more about, I think, the fact that we've had a lot of debates about, the fact that cricket doesn't allow for injury substitutes. We are a silly old sport that basically goes, yeah, if you get injured, I'm really sorry, it's kind of on you. It's basically the American healthcare system of sporting rules. And a lot of people advocating for more of a kind of insurance-based model, etc. That's a different podcast. But what I liked today was that it did show that we create these dramatic moments of him hobbling down the stairs, and we know that he plays these fall over pull shots, but he could quite legitimately be falling over because he's only got 1 foot, and it was quite funny. again, this bizarre spectacle of Jofra Archer and Ben Stokes not genuinely wanting to hurt Rishabh Pant, but basically doing everything they possibly could to hurt him by bowling at his broken foot, hurling a trajectory missile at his foot. I did think that there was, at one point, they put a couple of men out to try and, maybe put the idea that maybe they're going to bowl short to him.
Yeah, like hell.
Yeah, because guess what? They're going to bowl short to him. Rishabh Pant's going to Alan Shearer the hell out of it, get himself a concussion, and then they can yoink in someone actually who knows how to bat. It was a curious passage.
They did bowl one short ball at him, and he whacked it for 6, didn't he?
Yeah, he'll do that.
Yeah,
he'll do that because he's actually quite good.
They decided against that policy after a while.
The rather more sensible guy at the other end, Washington Sundar, I would say played really well. Shardul Thakur was streaky, but Washington is rapidly becoming one of my favourite players. I love watching him do his business. He just always finds a way to contribute. And alongside what everyone else was watching, he just chipped away and he just found a way, and he occupied the crease and he wore England down. It wasn't quite enough to get India over 400, but I would say when Indian innings finished, it kind of felt like they'd got a score.
Well, this is exactly the thing. So why today was pulsating and weird was many reasons, but one of them was that what you saw with India was terrific fight. Washington Sundar was batting for his life, and Rishabh Pant was doing much the same, and it felt like every run they were eking out was another dagger in England's hearts. Because trust me, my dear watcher stroke listener, at the start of the day, it was zipping around, it was moving. I think your stats showed twice as much movement.
It was the most movement for any session in the series, and I think at one point today it was the most movement for any day in the series as a whole. So today was a day for movement, certainly for the first half at least.
And as a result, we're all thinking, when Jasprit Bumrah gets his hands on the ball here, it's going to be really, really tough to bat. So 3-5-8 felt like India have scrapped for their lives. And this has been kind of what Indian cricket has been like in Test cricket lately. They have not given their wickets away. Yeah, there's been a couple of lower order collapses earlier on in this series, but for the most part, the batting unit has defied everything that's been thrown at them. They batted really sensibly. Washington was definitely a part of that. Rishabh's bravery was a part of that. And actually, Shardul Thakur, he was streaky in part, but he also batted a lot better than he batted in the first test.
For sure.
He waited, he played the ball late, he looked for gaps, they ran well, and England was struggling. They weren't getting the breakthroughs. At the end of the first hour, there were commentators saying they've blown the chance here to knock over India in these perfect conditions, and the ball's going to get softer. Well, actually, all the action took place in the second session, when suddenly wickets fell, 4 of them fell, and it was Ben Stokes again, taking 5, and Jofra Archer with a lovely ball to get rid of Rishabh Pant, very similar to the one he bowled at Lords. Not quite as good, it didn't leave him quite as much, and don't forget Rishabh Pant was batting on one leg, so it was possibly a bit easier to nail his off stump, although the stump did come out and do a triple somersault and landed in the pointy end, which was quite something to watch. But some words on Stokes and Archer, because they were tremendous today.
Well, we've spoken a lot this summer about how good Archer is against left-handers. His natural movement, taking the ball away from the lefties, whether it's over or round the wicket, and we've seen him burst through Rishabh Pant twice. We've seen him take that great catch off Washington Sundar at Lords. We've seen him go across Jaiswal. He has a God-given gift for bowling to left-handers, and he averages 21 against them now in Test cricket, which Ashes fans is quite useful when you think how many lefties could be in the Australian lineup in about 6 months' time. He bowled beautifully, but today was really about Ben Stokes with the ball. He's now taken, I think, 16 wickets in the series, most he's ever taken in a Test series. The previous best was in his first ever Test series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Back in the 13-14 Ashes, to say the A word twice in 30 seconds.
I thought you were going to say the 1340s, but yeah.
He's not quite that much of a warhorse. He looks properly back to his best, and maybe even better. This was the his average speed this summer, third quickest he's ever managed in his career, going back to, I think 2019 was his second quickest, 2014 when he first comes in, when he's got youth on his side. This is fit and firing Ben Stokes, swinging the ball both ways, bowling that kind of beautiful pitch up length and then banging it in. You've got Washington Sundar again, with a delivery that was very similar to the one that got Sai Sudarshan yesterday, banging it in, getting him caught on the fence. He's taking wickets in very different ways, like a proper frontline seamer. And today, it looked like this is a real asset that any team in the world would want.
Well, indeed. I mean, it's a measure of how well he's come along. That Bryden Cast, who felt like a shiny new toy and has had his moments in this series, couldn't pick up a wicket, went at about 5 and over, and it felt like Ben Stokes needed to do that. I needed to keep India down to 3-5-8. Felt like a little bit above par, but now we've got to come to the second half of the day. And they're not literally second halves, although they are in time, because England managed to bowl 31.1 overs in 3 hours, and India managed to squeeze in about 45 in the end in their 3 hours. Let's not get worked up about that sort of thing. But India's bowling began with Bumrah. Thought, hello, this could be interesting, and Cambodge. We thought, hello, this could also be interesting, because none of us had really seen him with a red ball, because the Ranji Trophy's not on where I am. Maybe I should watch more of it. However, what we saw was not overly pretty. Ben Duckett's leg glance clip flick through mid-wicket was fed time and time and time again. And I was just mystified. I was thinking, this guy's got to be something special if they're not picking anybody who is in the squad to start with. Prasid Krishna, you know, he's got into the series, not had the best time of it, but where's this Cambodge guy come from? He must be special. Well, he was, especially if you're an England opener, they thoroughly loved facing him.
I mean, it's obviously far too early to judge him as a Test bowler, and I think anyone who's watched a lot of Indian domestic cricket speaks very highly of him. So I think he clearly has been given an opportunity for a reason. But yeah, that trajectory, that journey into the Test side of not being in the initial squad, then brought into the nets, then brought into the team, it doesn't smack of great planning from the Indian side, and it smacks of panic, which I think is something that they smack of quite a lot, especially in away tours. We saw it in the Border Gavaskar. They love it's Gautam 3-change Gambhir. He likes to just chop and change, and friendship ended with Sai Sudarshan, and I'm friends with Karen Nair now. It's a lot of that, and I personally find it quite dispiriting. But today Cambodge didn't deliver anything like his best. His lines were poor. He's famed apparently for this control of line and movement off the seam. He was far too straight to Duckett. Duckett was, like you say, tucking him away. I think at one stage today, when he was on about 80 odd, 45% of Duckett's runs had come behind square on the leg side, and those weren't little dabs around the corner. It was just get some bat on it, that's 4. Bumrah was nowhere near at his best. Siraj wasn't at his best. Shardul was probably about as good as he is as a Test bowler right now, which is not very good. It felt like India really, to be honest, shit the bed. They had a score that they could have competed with, and there was enough movement out there, not as much as England were managing, and that's okay. But they weren't accurate, they weren't getting their lines right, they weren't attacking the stumps with anywhere near enough degree. It was a really frustrating performance. And to go back to the selection thing, Cambodge might, he goes on to take a wicket, he dismisses Ben Duckett before the end of the day, and it's great for him to get one on
with
the
a high release point. He's got a high release point apparently.
Who doesn't these days? But what surprised me is that, again, it speaks to India picking the wrong bowlers at the wrong venues. Like Harshit Rana or Prasid Krishna, these are guys that bang it in and bowl quick. This is the quickest pitch in the country, and we've seen it this week. It has been quick so far. This is an opportunity for them to get them into the series.
And so we had a nibbler. I mean, he looked like he could have been really handy on nibbly wickets, but and I think they identified him as for English conditions. But these, as you point out, they're not the same English conditions. They demand something a bit quicker, and that's why England's better bowlers, Archer and Stokes, bent their backs a bit, didn't they? And actually didn't just bang out a sort of full length and hope it was just going to nibble away. It's weird because the Indian bowlers have been generally getting more movement. Akash Deep, for example, has been getting more nip off the pitch. Obviously, Jasprit Bumrah. Today it didn't happen for them. 166 runs they put on Duckett and Crawley at 5 and over, and suddenly we were watching a completely different Test match. Predictably, though, both of them hate scoring hundreds. Duckett especially cannot bear 100. I think it's because he likes to disappoint the journalists. It gives them too easy a line, so they've got to tear it all up and start all over again. He succumbed to Cambodge, a little edge behind, and Crawley was out to Jadeja caught at slip. Nonetheless,
it was a lovely catch from KL Rahul.
It was actually.
It was a low catch. It was one of those ones where you felt the ghost of the word foreshortening of the lens was going to come into play, and actually no, he got his fingers underneath it. I would say before we skate on, Crawley did play really well today. He did. No one is quicker to slag him off, but when he plays well, he looks $1 million, and he was committing to his strokes. He was playing on the up through cover in a glorious way. He was clipping off his legs. India were bowling both sides of the wicket to him. At one stage, Shardul Thakur had a 7-2 offside field, and Crawley had, I think, hit him for 2 consecutive 4s through the leg side. But he can only face the bowling that he is facing, and he looked like the batter that I think England want to pick in Australia. A guy that will score runs on quick bouncy wickets at a rate of knots, and that was what happened today. They scored so quickly. The momentum just so quickly switched back in favour of England from a relatively balanced position, and it felt like Indian shoulders slumped very, very quickly.
They did, and just to highlight this point, Zak Crawley, it may not surprise you to know, has an average of over 80 against balls bowled at him over 88 miles an hour. He has an average of about 26 against balls bowled between 78 and 84 miles an hour. Now, quite a lot of balls today were bowled sort of in that range because India's bowlers weren't really firing. And so for him to bat so well against pedestrian bowling, that is very tough for Crawley, because the more time he has to think, well, I'll leave the sentence there. Right, Pope, Root, they see out the rest of the day. England begin 2-2-5 for 2, a deficit of 133. As we'll say it time and time again, very important first hour, but the problem is it's a 45 overall ball. If the forecast is to be believed, it might be quite a nice day as well. So if India are going to get back into this game and therefore back into this series, they're going to have to do so with an oldish ball in conditions that may start to get a bit favourable. We've not seen an awful lot happen. Haven't seen Washington Sundar bowl yet. There may be some assistance for him. They've got to pin their hopes perhaps on a deteriorating pitch with Jadeja and Washington coming to the fore, I fancy, and some moments of inspiration from Bumrah. But that is for the future, as is the Final Word Hall of Fame. But before we get to the Hall of Fame, I want to tell you something about New Brew, and you're going to love it. We are giving away a brand new Virat Kohli Genius cricket bat, gloves and case, plus a year's supply of New Brew Pro, which is worth over £1,600. Yes, count all those pounds, 1,600 of them. To enter, go to newbrew.com/final word and purchase any or all of our 12 qualifying cricket New Brew products. Qualifying products will display how many entries each product will get you. The more you buy, the more entries you get. Pretty simple. What's more, the 15% discount for being a Final Word listener, that still applies. Today's featured product is New Brew Shield Cricket. He's going to need this because he's got a little bit of a cold coming on. Combat mental exhaustion with all natural stress-fighting ingredients. A smart choice to optimise your immune system, support cognitive function and support stress resilience. New Brew Shield Cricket has over 3,000 verified reviews online with an impressive 4.9 stars out of 5. The winners of this competition, they will be announced at the Wormsley cricket match being played between Zero, Ducks Given and the Final Word. I'll be there at Wormsley on Monday the 18th of August. By the way, New Brew Virat Kohli Genius King cricket bat and gloves giveaway, UK residents 18 plus only please, runs Tuesday 22nd July to Monday the 18th of August. Qualifying purchases earn entries automatically. Different products earn different entry amounts, but the more you buy, the more entries you get. No purchase necessary. Postal entries accepted. Full terms at newbrew.com/final word. Time now for the Hall of Fame. We're back! Hall of Fame time. Couple of entries. I don't think we got too many. It wasn't a funny day's cricket, actually.
No. It was too exciting. It was too serious.
It was too serious, and it was captivating. I've got one, largely because I messed it up completely, but I'm sort of comfortable enough to believe that almost everybody did. The final wicket in India's innings, Siraj and Bumrah are together, and Bumrah wafts at a wide short ball down the leg side off Jofra Archer. It goes through to the keeper. That's pretty much what I say. Wafts wide, doesn't catch up with it. Then continue the conversation. Andy Zaltzman tugs me and says, I think they're having a look to go upstairs. I said, what, really? Nobody had shown any interest in it apart from Joe Root. Goes upstairs, tiny glove, and amazingly, Bumrah was virtually through the shot. The bat had become horizontal back round, round the other way when he played the pull. It had gone round behind him before it had touched the glove. Tiny little flicker. Joe Root was right. India were all out. I looked like a complete idiot. But what's new in that? That's my Hall of Fame.
Lovely, I enjoyed that. Just a quick addendum to previously. I've not just got a cold coming on. I've got Michael Atherton's cold.
Oh, cool cold.
This is not just any cold.
Well, in that case, it'll last a very long time. It'll dig in. It'll really dig in. This cold.
It's a cricket show. My Hall of Fame. I've got two light ones. One, I've got a further Zak Crawley stat that I really enjoyed. I dug it out and stuck it on Twitter. It speaks to his brilliance against the best bowlers. Again, in his Test career against Bumrah, Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark, Rabada, combined, all of the good guys, he averages 55 in Test cricket.
Of course he does.
I quite like that because against Nitish Kumar Reddy he averages 4. So this is the good gear. The other one was a Jofra moments. When is it not? Again, we spoke about when Pant was bowled by Archer. The stump goes elegantly careering, as you say, but it also then pierces itself in the ground
like
and
that.
just it
like
reinserts itself
like a good javelin,
like a beautiful angled javelin, and it's an aesthetic thing. Jofra only only does aesthetic things. He doesn't deal in ugly wickets, and I like that. That's important in Test cricket. Rishabh scores fun runs. Jofra takes fun wickets. It's a good unit for good gear in Test.
And that's the best way to describe what happened today. There were some fun runs, and there were some fun wickets. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Before we go, don't forget to check out newbrew.com/final word for your 15% discount. But for now, from me, Daniel Norcross, and from Ben Jones, until tomorrow, bye.